7 money stats that hurt to hear, but can make you rich. If you earn money but still feel broke, this is going to hurt. Because the problem isn't how much you make, it's the numbers quietly eating your future while the grasshopper inside you lives like everything will work out. The grasshopper never sees the numbers. It just feels tired, stressed, and confused about where the money went. But there's another side of you, the ant. The ant doesn't guess, the ant counts. In this video, I'm going to show you the ant's 7 money stats, the numbers the grasshopper avoids, and the ones that quietly decide who struggles and who builds wealth. Let's start with the first stat, the one silently draining almost every grasshopper's life without them noticing. Stat 1. The invisible drain. The first number the ant looks at is the one the grasshopper avoids completely, because it doesn't feel dangerous. The grasshopper doesn't feel robbed, it feels comfortable. Small subscriptions, small upgrades, small "I deserve this" moments. Individually, they feel harmless. Together, they form a leak. And here's the painful part. The average grasshopper loses hundreds every month to money they never consciously chose to spend. Not on dreams, not on freedom, not on building anything. Just background noise. That's why the grasshopper feels broke without knowing why. There was no big mistake, no dramatic failure, just silence. The ant, on the other hand, starts here, not with investing, not with side hustles, with awareness. Because you can't grow what you don't see, and you can't protect what you don't track. And this is only the first number. The next one hurts more because it doesn't steal money, it steals time.
Stat 2. Time is the currency the grasshopper spends first. The second number the ant tracks is one the grasshopper never calculates. Because it doesn't look like money, it looks like hours. The grasshopper thinks, I'll earn more later. I'll figure it out eventually. I still have time. But here's the part that hurts to hear. Most grasshoppers trade years of their life for expenses they don't even remember enjoying. Hours for things that don't last, days for bills that come back, decades for a lifestyle that never builds leverage. That's why time feels faster as you get older, not because life speeds up, but because the grasshopper already sold most of it. The ant sees this early. The ant understands something brutal. Money can be replaced, time cannot. That's why the ant asks a different question. Not how much does this cost, but how many hours of my life does this take? And once you see money this way, some purchases become impossible to justify. But this is still just the beginning, because the next stat is even more uncomfortable. It proves that living like everyone else is the fastest way to stay exactly where you are. Stat 3. Normal is financially dangerous. This is the number that exposes the biggest trap of all, because the grasshopper doesn't feel reckless. It feels normal. Normal spending, normal debt, normal stress, normal paycheck-to-paycheck life. And that's exactly the problem. Here's the stat that hurts. If you live like the average person, you will end up with the average result. Not because you failed, but because averages are designed to keep you stuck. The grasshopper follows the crowd for safety. If everyone does it, it must be fine. If this is normal, it must be sustainable. But winter doesn't care what's normal. The ant understands something most people don't want to hear. Normal behavior produces fragile lives. One missed paycheck, one unexpected expense, one small crisis, and the entire system collapses. That's why the grasshopper feels constantly anxious, even when things are going fine. The ant doesn't aim for normal. The ant aims for margin, space, buffer, room to breathe. And this is where something changes, because once you realize that normal is the danger, you stop trying to fit in and start trying to prepare. And that leads to the next number, the one the grasshopper hates the most, because it proves that waiting feels good now, but is brutally expensive later. Stat 5. Delaying pleasure multiplies power. This is the number the grasshopper hates the most, because it attacks the one thing the grasshopper protects at all costs: comfort now. Here's the painful truth. Most people lose money because they lack opportunity. They lose it because they can't wait. Small impulses today steal massive options tomorrow. The grasshopper tells itself, I'll start later. I deserve this now. It's not a big deal. And one purchase isn't a big deal. A pattern is. The ant understands this stat deeply. Every time you delay pleasure, you buy leverage. Not excitement, not validation. Power. That's why the ant looks calm while others feel rushed. The ant already paid the price, quietly, and the reward shows up later. But even this isn't enough to escape the trap, because the next number proves something even more uncomfortable. Earning more money doesn't fix broken behavior.
Stat 6. Income grows slower than bad habits. This stat shatters the biggest illusion the grasshopper believes. If I just earned more, everything would be fine. But here's the reality. As income goes up, most people raise their lifestyle even faster. Better car, bigger house, more subscriptions, more pressure. So the stress stays the same, only the numbers get bigger. That's why so many high earners feel just as trapped as low earners. The grasshopper upgrades life before securing stability. The ant does the opposite. The ant locks in systems first, rules, limits, structure. Because money without discipline doesn't create freedom, it creates a nicer cage. And that brings us to the final stat, the one that separates people who survive from people who endure.
Stat number 7. The rich play defense before they play offense. This is the stat most people never hear, because it isn't exciting, it isn't flashy, it doesn't sell dreams, but it decides everything. The grasshopper chases growth first, more money, more risk, more upside. The ant protects first. The ant builds buffers, margins, safety, because winter doesn't announce itself. One setback, one crisis, one bad season, and everything built without defense collapses. That's why real wealth looks boring from the outside. Quiet, stable, almost invisible, until it isn't. And by the time the grasshopper notices, it's already too late to catch up. The foundation, the mega reset. Here's the part most videos skip, because stats don't change lives. Motivation doesn't either. Foundations do. The grasshopper hears everything you just heard and says, "I'll try harder." The ant does something different. The ant resets the rules. Not someday, not when things are easier, now. Because the ant understands this. Willpower runs out. Systems don't. That's the mega reset. It's not about cutting everything fun. It's about defining non-negotiables. Rules like, I don't buy what I haven't planned. I pay myself before I spend. Comfort comes after security. If I don't need it, I don't touch it. The grasshopper negotiates with itself every day. The ant already decided. That's why the ant looks calm in chaos, why stress doesn't control every decision, why progress continues even on bad days. The mega reset isn't dramatic, it's quiet. It's choosing structure over impulse, discipline over emotion, preparation over hope. And once this foundation is in place, everything else finally works. Saving stops feeling impossible, investing stops feeling scary, and money stops controlling your mood. Because you're no longer reacting, you're building. The ant choice. None of these stats are complicated. That's what makes them dangerous. The grasshopper hears them and goes back to life as usual. The ant hears them and adjusts quietly. Because wealth isn't built by knowing more, it's built by choosing differently, again and again. You already have both inside you, the grasshopper that spends and hopes, and the ant that prepares. Winter is coming either way. The only question is which one you're feeding. Welcome to the colony.